I think this might be one of the most efficient and fun ways of improving your English. So let's get started. I've done this exercise multiple times on this channel before, and everyone always asks for more. They say, please do more of this video. So here we go. If you don't know how it works, basically we are going to watch a short film and we're going to watch it 30 seconds at a time. Then we are going to say exactly what happened in that video. We're going to try to use as much detail as possible, and I will write the story here so you can see everything I say written down in one nice story. Let's get started. This is a short animated film called Hey Dear by Oz Barkshi. I'm really bad at pronouncing names, but let's watch the first 30 seconds. Here we go. Okay, that feels like a good place to stop. So let's start off by setting the scene. Setting the scene. So why don't we say something like, there is a small cottage in the middle of a snowy forest. Snowy can be an adjective. In the middle of a snowy forest. In front of, try to use as many prepositions as you can. In front of the cottage, we see a deer shoveling snow. So when you're doing this exercise on your own, you might not know the word for shoveling. So that's when you go to Google or whatever internet you use and find the word that you need, and then you can insert it. And if it's a new word, maybe underline it just so you remember, okay, that is a new word. That is some new vocabulary for me. So let's underline kind of the fun words. Why don't we? Okay. Then a large pile of snowballs fall from the sky. Okay, so specifically, where is he shoveling the snow? So that's his front door. So the deer continues to shovel the snow away from his front door. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to, let's write it down. He wants to clear a path to his front door. As much detail as you can. Okay, then what? Okay, so how could you describe what's happening here? Try to use any words you can. Just then, the sky turns bright green. Be specific. Don't just say green, say bright green or fluorescent green. Even better, fluorescent. How does he feel about that? He doesn't seem shocked. He doesn't go, oh, green sky. So we could say the deer doesn't seem surprised. He is indifferent. Another great adjective. Indifferent. If you don't care about something, you are indifferent. Then what happens next? Okay, so be specific. How does he close the door? He doesn't just close the door. What does he do? That's different. Let's go into detail here. So he walks into his cottage and kicks the front door shut. So he doesn't just close the front door, he kicks the front door shut. Be specific. Okay, every little action I want you to say. What about this next part? So if he is shoveling snow, the thing he uses is called a shovel. So I would say he hangs his shovel up by the fire to hang something up. I'm finished with my shovel. I'm going to hang it up. He hangs his shovel up by the fire and hangs his hat. Is that his hat? Yeah. And hangs his hat. Where does he hang his hat? Let's say next to it, maybe. And hangs his hat next to it. Then let's describe this cottage a little bit. So how would you describe this cottage? There's a lot of rope everywhere. So the deer's cottage seems to be held together with rope. To be held together with. So this house seems to be held together with rope. So the thing that is stopping the house falling apart is rope. There is rope on the cabinets, the kitchen cabinets here, the table and the shelves. Ah, okay. Even the books are secured in the bookcase with rope. Secured. If something is secured, it is made secure. So if you secure something, you make sure it's not going to move or get disturbed. So what's the deer doing here? Okay. The deer makes himself a cup of hot chocolate, sits in his chair, and buries his face in it. He doesn't just drink the hot chocolate. If you do this exercise and you say he drinks the hot chocolate, that's not really exactly what he does. He doesn't drink it. He buries his face in it. Let's watch the next part of this story and see what happens next. Okay, so something very strange happening with this deer, I think. Okay, now, so he puts his mug down, but he does it in an interesting way. He doesn't just put the mug down, he kind of... So once he finishes his hot chocolate, he places his mug down on the table, but seems indecisive about where to place it. Interesting. So once he finishes his hot chocolate, he places his mug down to place down. I'm going to place this down here, but seems indecisive. He can't decide. Indecisive when you can't decide about where to place it. Then it looks like he's checking everything before he goes to bed. So he checks the things on the shelves and then gets under the covers to go to bed. To get under the covers. And he's literally completely under the covers. He covers himself in it. So he gets under the covers to go to bed. He waits until the lights change and then goes to sleep. So he goes to sleep. While he is asleep, something crazy happens. While he sleeps, his whole cottage starts to shake. Books fly off the shelves. The whole place is moving, but he doesn't stir. To stir means to kind of wake up, to wake up briefly. You know, maybe if you're asleep and then you're stirring, you're moving, you're awaking slightly. But he doesn't stir, he stays asleep. And eventually the morning light comes through the window. Let's carry on and see what happens next. Okay, so what is going on with this deer? The deer picks up his mug, which has fallen beside his bed. He looks around at his cottage. He looks around at his cottage and realizes that he will have to do a lot of tidying up. And how does he feel about this? Feelings are always good to talk about as well. He seems a little disgruntled, but gets to work anyway. Disgruntled, like, disgruntled, fine. A bit angry about it, but not super angry. So he puts everything back where it belongs. To put something back where it belongs. I need to tidy my room and put everything back where it belongs. He looks out of the window and his eye twitches a little when he sees the snow. Eye twitching. If your eye twitches, usually it's with anger. Like that thing. So we call that eye twitching. So his eye twitches a little when he sees the snow because he knows he has to shovel all of it again. He grabs his shovel, grabs his hat, and starts shoveling again. He grabs his shovel and hat and begins shoveling the snow outside his cottage once again. Once again. If you say once again, it kind of exaggerates that you're doing it again. Maybe with a bit of, okay, I'll do it once again. Like one more time. So it's exaggerating that you're doing it again. So overnight, there has been a lot of snowfall. So we can say a lot of snowfall. It's just another way of saying a lot of snow. So he has a lot of shoveling to do. Then the sky turns green again. The sky turns green again, and once again, he doesn't seem too surprised. So there's that once again. We are exaggerating that this is again, and once again, he doesn't seem too surprised. He follows the same routine as the day before. There he is. Yeah, he follows the same routine to follow a routine and goes to bed. So he does the same thing. It looks like his day just keeps repeating. Let's watch the next part and see what happens. So let's head back a little bit. So he goes to bed, and overnight the same thing happens again. So if you look, it looks as if the whole earth is shaking, the whole world is shaking. It's not just his cottage. So his possessions fly everywhere as the whole earth shakes. Possessions is another word for the things that you own, the things that you possess. So anything that you own is your possession. And in the sky, it looks like maybe the northern lights. The northern lights seem to appear in the sky as he sleeps. So maybe that green fluorescent light is actually the aurora borealis, the northern lights. And once again, in the morning, he has to shovel all that snow. Once again, he shovels the snow. When morning comes, he shovels the snow, and like clockwork, the sky turns green. So like clockwork means something happens so often and it is so predictable, it is like a clock. Because a clock is so predictable, we know what's going to happen with a clock. So if something is like clockwork, it means it's predictable. Yeah, that happens every day at around the same time. It's like clockwork. Yeah, he goes to bed. And the same thing happens overnight. He goes to bed and the same thing happens overnight. Look at that. I don't think I could live like this. Goodness me. Okay, let's watch a bit more and see what happens next. So he wakes up the next morning. But he can't find his shovel. It's not in the usual spot. So that's the usual spot. That's where the shovel usually is. That's the usual spot. So he looks everywhere for it. He looks everywhere for it, but it's nowhere to be found inside the cottage. We say that a lot. It's nowhere to be found. That's a nice way of saying, I can't find it. It's nowhere to be found. It's just another way of saying, I cannot find it. So he tries searching for it in the snow. He tries searching for it in the snow, but to no avail. Another great phrase. To no avail means with no success. To no avail, with no success. It didn't work. Eventually, He moves so much snow that he reveals a glass floor underneath all the snowballs. Interesting. He lies there for a moment. He then spots a little girl above him. Spots is another word for notices, by the way, to spot. Again, the whole place starts to shake. But this time, he isn't in bed. He is flying in the sky with his shovel. The truth is, he is living inside a snow globe. The shaking is simply a little girl playing, and the green lights are the lights from her bedroom. The girl and the deer smile at each other. The end. Isn't that a nice story? So now we have a whole story. We have written a whole story with new words. Obviously, I knew the words, but for you, you can find them in a dictionary, Google, whatever, and then add it to the story. And you have put new vocabulary in context. The best thing to do now is to try to read this story every day for the next 3 days. If you're still struggling to remember these new words, maybe make a list of them and write a new story with those words. Do something to get those words to stick in your head. If you are a member of this channel, I will be putting this whole story in the PDF for this video, along with lots of other exercises to help these words stick in your head. If you want to become a member and get a PDF for every video, 2 live streams a month, and videos 4 days early, click the join button. You can also head to smashingenglish.com to see all of our amazing English courses. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta!